Hey, I'm back, and today I wanted to do this video for the Celestion impulse response contest. But also, I thought this would be interesting for other people. I tried to come up with some new ideas on how to use guitar cabinet impulse responses. So, first, let you listen to this. I just recorded this quickly. I'm using S Gear, I'm using the Custom 57. I have just a little bit of medium hall reverb on there. I had some delay on there, but I turned that off. And I have this Cinzo Celestion Vintage 30 mix. This is just the free impulse response they give you on the Celestion IR site. I think it's celestionplus.com. So go there, check that out if you want this. But I'll just let you hear this as it is for now. Okay, so there you have it. I just recorded that quickly so I'd have something to kind of play with here. Instead of just using this, which is boring, we're going to turn this off and let's turn on M Convolution Multiband. See? Have something fun to play with. So I'm going to turn this on here, and I have a few that I did here that I think are kind of interesting mixes. So this one, I call this Celestion Multi-Mix, and if you see in here, on the left in blue, I have a vintage 30 2x12 closed back high gain setting. This is them all mixed together. Then I have this one, which is a cream back with an 2x2 open back cabinet and high gain setting in all Celestion. And I think those two mixed together is good, but I think the really interesting one is this last one. So this one is that same creamback 2x12, but this is using stereo room mics. So I'll let you listen to each one maybe just by itself. I'll start, let me turn the snapping off. Start here. So let's just hear the Vintage 30. Now let's hear the creamback. So here it's a little bit different. I think the Vintage 30 has a little bit more upper mids, but the creamback seems to have more actual treble. So a little bit different. It's not quite as aggressive in the upper mids. So I think together they work really well. But the last one, I think this is the really interesting one. So let's play this. That one really brings out the room sound. I turned that down because I don't want that to be too prominent, but I want it to be in there. And another thing I did just to make this kind of stand out more, the room sound, I went into the additional settings and I set the pre-delay to 30 milliseconds. So it gives it a little bit more depth. They aren't all together. They don't all have the same timing. Well, these two do, the creamback and the Vintage 30, but the room mic is a little bit different. So enough of that. Let's put them all together. So there we go. And let me turn off the reverb here so you can really hear what this room mic's doing. Let me turn it off and then I'll turn it on. So as you heard, that room mic, it just kind of, I don't know, it pushes it away from you. When you have it off, it seems like it's right in your face, and it's just too much for me. So adding that room mic, I think, it's a nice touch. It was interesting if you don't have a reverb or if you want to add something along with reverb. But let's go to the next one. Next one, I did a frequency mix. I just called this Celestion frequency. And I did a similar thing, except this time, instead of having all three playing at the same time, this time they're split up by frequency. So you see here on the right, I have the same cream back. This is a 4x12, and I have it on low gain. So this should have a little bit more sparkle on the top end. And on the left, I have the Vintage 30 low gain using all the Celestions. So it's divided around 1K. I kind of set this by ear. If you right click here, you can go in and change it to different crossovers. I'm using 12 decibels per octave because I think that's a little bit smoother. I don't want them to be, cut right off. I don't want, just like smushed together. I want there to be a little bit of overlap. And also, the less steep your slope, the less phase problems you're going to have. Of course, I could use a linear phase, but with the analog, you can do it in real time, so I could play everything in using this if I wanted to. But let's listen to it. Okay, so I like that high end on there, so that's why I did that. The upper mids in the Vintage 30, for me, it's just sometimes it's too much. And for this, I like the high end of the creambacks, but I wanted the bottom end of the Vintage 30, so I combined them to get together. Let's A B these. So if I just copy here, go into B, paste. Now I have the same thing on A and B, but what I can do is just solo this. Now I'm just playing the Vintage 30 on B, go into C, do the same thing, solo this. Now I just have the cream back on C. So A is both, B is my Vintage 30, and C is my creamback. So here we go. Both together. So I like that blend, but of course, with this technique, you can blend it however you want. You can actually do more than 2 bands also. I could have done all the way up to 6 bands, but that sounds like a headache. I don't want to do that. 2 is more than enough for me. And last but not least, I'll show you one more thing I tried to do. I use these, I call this Celestion level, and I did a similar thing as before. You see here, I have the cream back low gain here, and then I have the cream back high gain here. I know you're thinking like, oh, what are you doing? And basically, I'm using a level crossover. The level crossover changes depending on how I move this level control. So here it's at negative 34.2, but I can move it up and down. And you see this white block here? It'll move up like that. Well, I have it connected to something, so if I don't have it connected, it will. So like there, I can move it. Okay. So what happens is I have this connected to a modulator, and by doing that, I have this set so whenever something loud plays, this will move. And when I'm playing really loud, it will play this high gain Celestion, which has the treble attenuated and is slightly more bassy. but the low gain has more treble and sparkle on it. So during these parts here where it's clean, I want it to have more sparkle. But here where I'm hitting hard, cut some of that high end. So I'll let you hear it. So there you go. And if you want to hear the difference between them, I'll turn these off so you can actually hear me moving it manually. Here we go, play through it. So you can hear those subtle changes in tonal color. And if you want to set that up yourself, just go into the mod here. Normally it starts on normal, which is just going to be an LFO. You see this is moving like an LFO. Ooh, that's not not going to be great for what we're using it for. So go to follower and then just set everything up as you like. I have the different levels set by just moving this up and down like that. And you can do the same thing with the minimum level, maximum level, attack, RMS length, release, peak hold, etc. So I don't want to go through the whole thing with that, but just set them up however you like. And the same thing here, you don't even have to use the high gain and low gain. You could use two different ones. You could use like a vintage 30 and greenback if you wanted to. Or you can even EQ these differently. So I could use an equalizer and cut some bass down here for the low gain, and then for the high gain, I can boost it if I want. That's a stupid idea. Don't do that. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to, you could. So I think there's lots of possibilities with this. I just started messing with this because I thought, I was trying to think of something interesting and new to do with this, and I thought maybe nobody has done this yet. So I thought I would. But let me know down below if you like this, if you think this is an interesting idea. If you decide to do this, let me know also. I kind of want to hear this in a song. I haven't had a chance to actually use this in my own music, but I think I'll try this in the future. And if you're Celestion listening to this, let me win the contest. All right. Anyways, thanks, and until next time, see you.